All right, greetings from the wasteland here in the survival pod. This is Freedom Phil, and what's the topic? I've heard some rumors, some murmurs that potentially YouTube might be requiring identification for use in the future. And what's my thought on it? Good, bad? What's my thought on it? Well, I just thought I'd cover this subject. Yeah, Freedom Phil, like and subscribe. Let's get into it. And hey, turn up the video speed. Why do I say that? Because if you're watching this at regular speed, what the hell are you doing? When I upload, you should be watching at 1.75. Let's get into it. Hey, like, subscribe. It's one of those issues where a lot of people I've noticed, they tend to look at it and like, well, if you're not really a YouTube user and you're not talking about anything really dicey, like there's some conversations, be it right or wrong, whatever you think about it, you just can't have in public. You can't have with an identity. You talk about those sort of things, whatever it is, like certain politics, certain questions about certain groups and what they're doing, and you will be pretty much blacklisted in a lot of cases. They're just too dicey. And you're like, well, people are like, well, then you shouldn't talk about that. I mean, you should know better. Yeah, but what does it mean when freedom of speech is only freedom of what's allowed to be said? I mean, we're looking at that when it comes to the UK. The UK is a fucking joke. Like, you see the situation where we saw that you put a tweet out there. You liked that comment. Are you a racist? And they send the cops over there. And by the way, I personally believe when it comes to, the world, you should, if that's what your police are doing, it's time to reevaluate your culture and your country. I'm just saying. It's just like when there's I remember saying this to an officer a long time ago. I was bumming change, holding my sign, and an officer shows up. Oh, what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm just bumming for change. I figure it's voluntary. Someone wants to give me money, they can give me money. It's unlike taxes. I'm not forcing anybody out of anybody's hand. And I said, I really got to ask you a question, though. All respect intended, sir, but while you're here dealing with me, you realize there's a meth lab not being busted somewhere? And the same way when a cop writes I didn't say this part to him, when a cop writes a chicken shit ticket to somebody, there's a meth lab not being busted somewhere in America. Just, if that's when your officer's doing. And that's the way I kind of look at like the censorship. I think there's a lot of authoritarians are drooling over the idea of YouTube or it can't just be YouTube. It's got to be all the social networks having ID verification. And by the way, they always hide behind the same shit. They always say, we're doing it to protect children. Fuck you, you lying sacks of shit. But a lot of you lefties that run, Silicon Valley YouTube, yeah, you guys actually were promoting trans this, trans that, and some of those people actually had PDF file charges in the past, like convictions. Not just charges, but convictions. So fuck you, you're liars. I mean, if they're like, we got to protect children from seeing porn, go online on YouTube, you can find whatever sick shit you want to do, and all it'll do is ask you to verify your age. Like, please, you do not care about this crap. Like, look up, what was this, made work see-through clothing. And it's like, hey man, that's quite the taco she has there. Just saying. So don't give me this bullshit that YouTube cares about the children's. No, that's just the usual line. You guys remember way back in the day, the joke from The Simpsons, the wife of the pastor or whatever, the church leader. What about the children? Yeah, since Republicans were doing it during the religious right, now the authoritarian left uses the same fucking excuse. And all to do what? To take away your freedom of speech to some degree. Now, this is kind of where it's kind of a two-sided street. Because there are some pros to this, but we got to get into when it comes to ID verification. Let me tell you what my thoughts that I have on it. I don't want to have my identity, like where I live, all this crap out there, because if I'm talking about something and there's some fucking nut job out there, can you guarantee me, YouTube, that you're not going to have your data breached? Or even worse, you're not going to do like what social media like Facebook and all these other platforms do and sell my information like you're probably doing right now. You seem to like this. Let's target the ads. Now, you're not going to sell this information to some foreign country and then some organization in this country will buy that information so they can set up a bunch of fucking nut job Terry events. Yeah, people don't think that's possible, but it's absolutely fucking possible. And by the way, if you don't believe me on them, this is part of the reason I believe if you call the police for a false swatting event, you should be charged with attempted murder. And if something happens in that house, and I take that even as far as, let's say you shoot their dog, the police shoot your dog during a false swatting event, then they should treat that dog that got shot like a police dog that gets shot. And that's, killing an officer. And I say this because I know for a fact, hey, morning, I know for a fucking fact, and by the way, this is where I'm going to put on the parameters. No offense, people, but if you want to talk, you need to be a subscriber. You only got to be a subscriber for 1 minute. Why? And why do I do that? No offense, but I'll be real about it. If you want me to read your comments, then I want to see that you're actually one of the crowd, one of the people. Otherwise, why do I owe you shit? But to be real about it, yeah, I see the potential where data breaches would happen, or they just wholesale sell your shit. And by the way, it's not like YouTube doesn't have a left-wing bend. So let me tell you how this would go down. If YouTube instituted that, and it wasn't something that was mandated by law, the next company that actually has anonymity would become the new hot place, where people could just have whatever wild out conversations. That's really what people want. You know why people watch stuff like Joe Rogan and all that? Because he has conversations that are fucking interesting. Now, when you sanitize the world down to where you can't say anything edgy, your comedians have to be censored 24/7 because they said a naughty word. By the way, do you want to be as lame as the British? I mean, just be real. You fucking people are really lame. Like I said earlier, the British have been huffing their farts about their great empire or their culture and blah, blah, blah. You've been riding on fumes for decades, okay? You're at the point now where you're sitting around, and if people are afraid to comment on something or say, I disagree with this, or I strongly disagree with the immigration situation. That's hate speech. Do you really want to live in that fucking world? And the answer is, for most people, no. But there are a lot of authoritarians that want you to live in that world, be it on the right or the left. Now, I've clearly pointed out the cons of the situation of so-called ID verification. Now let's talk about some of the pros. Would be kind of nice if let's just say you got some tool sheds that are hassling you online. Hey, thanks. You got some people that are constantly showing up, and they make channel after channel after channel just to talk shit. And I believe in freedom of speech, but not freedom of shit slinging. I'm just going to be real about it. There are people that, I don't know, maybe they're at home, they're bored, they're kids, they're whatever, and they make it their life. They come back and they'll listen to my content or somebody's content because they love to fucking hate. They love to be pissed off because what you're saying gives some damn, you're wrong, and they will make channel after fucking channel after channel. And you know what? I could think digital ID would be good if you could eliminate that situation to where, yeah, you make a channel, that's your channel. It's tied to your digital ID. And once somebody blocks you, sure, you can watch and you can be pissed off while you're watching, but you're not going to come in there and fucking hassle people over and over again. It's kind of like, you got a bar, and you get kicked out of a bar, and you're not let back in. Hey, whatever happened, whatever thing, you gots to go. And you're out of the bar. Now you got to find someplace else to drink. Fair enough. But this thing where someone comes in with a disguise over and over and over again, just keep on plugging up the toilet or doing whatever, being a fucking asshole, I would love it if we could just have it to where, yeah, the ID is there. But the reality is, I know that they're going to fuck it up and they're going to probably leak your data. They're going to do a bunch of stupid shit. And then you're going to have some people like domestic terrorists that are going to use that information to stalk people. The other one would be, hey, if you got to have verification, can we finally get rid of all the robots? All the clankers. And by the way, a lot of YouTubers would be pissed if that happened. And I'm not trying to rag on furries when I say this, because there are some entertaining furries, but there's a lot of them that your content is fucking slop. And I know that you're botting. It's pretty painfully obvious that you're botting. You look at the comments, how generic they are, and they're actually surprised when someone has some dynamics to their conversation. In fact, there's some of them that get pissed because what you expect me to think, you know? So you can see that a lot of it's robots, scam viewers, all that shit. I would love it if verification would remove all the fucking bots. In fact, verification at the very least, to where you could actually thin out the herd and be like, I don't want to hear opinions from any of these other countries that don't actually apply to anything to me. Like you see these, like, I did a video on this back in the however long ago, where you'll see real American Eagle Patriot. And it's some guy from fucking some South African or, India or something, because he makes this channel and acts like a patriot. And, because it's mostly a robot. You see a lot of these robot contents too. And some of them are actually good. I'll be honest. Some of them do a better job than people. But they go out and put out all this slop content, and they're making a bunch of YouTube shekels, fomenting anger between different groups. Meanwhile, it's like a weapons dealer. Weapons dealers selling to both sides. Whether who wins doesn't fucking matter, just as long as the weapons are being sold. In fact, if either side wins, you stop making money. So you don't want to give either side too much power. I don't want some motherfucker that has nothing to do with my country or my people to be, having an opinion, on the shit we're doing here. Like, I'm talking like it's local, like it's in your state. It's like somebody talking about the timber crisis or the dam crisis, and it's some Beijing fucking platform. I would love it if we could be like, okay, well, this guy's from this other country. I don't need to know what state. I just want to know, okay, so you're from like of the people of motherfuckistan. Oh, you're from motherfuckistan. I don't need to know this. And by the way, like, do you see some of these people, no offense, but what's your opinion on Palestine or what's going on? Like, I have opinions on Iran and Palestine, but these people that are like trying to be like, you got to believe what we believe. And it's either robots or fucking retards. Yeah, I would love it if we could just be able to actually thin the herd. Because like I've said before, it's like playing, sometimes with some of these people, it's like playing fucking whack-a-mole. Like, they're like, well, I'll make another channel. Like, they're making channels. They're having an algorithm program make them channels so fast. It's like, okay, I'll just load up this one. I'll just load up this one. I would love it if there was ID to get rid of that shit. But that's those couple things are the small benefit to having an ID. And now what people say, what about the children? I don't think your kids should be on the internet. Y'all just heard me, right? I don't think unsupervised kids should be on the internet. By the way, I miss the old internet when things were more dicey and fucking crazy, okay? Back in the day when we could have fun. We could talk about damn near anything. It was better. Now, decade after decade, think about the children has been the excuse to inshitify and slowly censor our entire experience. And also what? So shitty parents don't have to watch their kids. Because my God, what if your kid sees a boobie? And they're like, well, what about the pedos and the sickos online? Okay, I get that. I agree with that. But doesn't that really come back down to, why are you letting your kids just live online? Like, why are you doing it? Well, we can't stop. It's fucking bullshit. It's like saying, back in the day, well, you can't stop your kids from watching TV. What type of fucking idiocracy argument is this? Like, realistically, we have to, and this, by the way, this is just like, and this is kind of a off side topic about it, but this is just like all the assholes that tell you to spay and neuter your dogs and cats. Like, cats are a different animal because cats go be doing what cats do. But if your dog's out running wild through the community, it's because you're a shitty pet owner. Now, why is it I have to go and preemptively mutilate my fucking dog? He's got to like lose his berries because you can't keep your bitch under control. I don't have a dog problem. you have a dog problem. Now, it's the same thing with parenting. Bad parents always want everybody else to do the fucking work for them. Y'all don't hear me. How many times has the world been censored or slowly, incrementally ruined over your life because somebody else won't get their shit together? Want an example? How about welfare? Why is it you got to pay taxes to feed someone else's kids instead of that money going to your kids? You were responsible. They weren't. Why do you need to suffer? You are suffering. You are losing something so somebody else doesn't have to deal with the consequences of their dumbass decisions. So that's why when people try to hide behind the children, I'm saying, no, you should expect parents to be responsible and hold the parents responsible if their kids do some fuck shit. So online identity always sounds good to people that are lazy. But I look at it as like, if there are conversations we just won't be able to have in the future if everything has identity to it. But there could be a couple positives. There could be a few positives. But I doubt those positives will actually happen. Because I bet YouTube will still have people making thousands of channels just to hassle people. And YouTube will most likely still have a botting problem. So for the time being, I look at YouTube or any sort of online identification. It should be optional. If you want to identify who you are, cool. If you don't, you shouldn't have to. And if you don't want your kids to see weird shit online, keep your kids off the fucking internet. So I don't know. Anyhow, I appreciate anybody who's subbed. Appreciate the 5 likes. It ain't much, but hey, something. You know, it's like people bitch about a sandwich, right? Well, that sandwich is bologna. I happen to like bologna. Thank you very much. But that bologna sandwich is better than 2 slices of bread, nothing in between. You know, I'll take bologna over no bologna. Take them 5 likes. Unlike that fucking bologna where it says about 14 slices. I'm not going to get over this, by the way. It says about 14 sandwiches, makes about 14 sandwiches, only has 11 slices. Goddamn liars. By the way, freedom, feel like, subscribe, take it easy.